Hey, CrazyRonn here, and not a proper video. This is just a quick overview. Basically, what I did was I tried out YouTube streaming for the first time ever, sending my capture straight to YouTube instead of Twitch. So just in case that goes all wrong and I lose 3 hours of content for archive for people to watch later, regardless of whether or not anyone's actually interested in watching such a thing anyway, especially being 3 hours of very long, boring talking and other random crazy bullshit I tend to spout off into. Just for the sake of, I don't know, totality? I don't know a good word for it, but just for the sake of having everything whole, just in case that does not turn out too well, and I do lose potentially 3 hours of progress, and there's no evidence or proof that I even touched up on where I last left off in part 49 of City Skylines. There's this video. So if the look, I have a bunch of quick saves because of accidents that happened. Anyway, let's go to this one. So I'm just gonna do a really, really, really quick, brief rundown of the things I did and occurred. If anyone really cares to be kept up to speed, this is all assuming the stream doesn't work anyway. As far as I've read into, sometimes the streams won't show up if they're longer than a certain amount of time, and I've always done one session 3 hours long, either recording or streaming. Even though I've done only one or two, yeah, I think I've done two streaming sessions of City Skylines, but Murphy's Law, when the worst that can possibly happen can and will possibly happen. So, yeah, there's this. Not really a lot is missed. I am getting into one of those times where, um, uh, where the city has gotten so big, the region has gotten so big that it takes a long time just to do one thing. So, first things first. Um, let me reach back to my memory. I did this earlier today, and then I realized it's a good idea to do this just in case the stream does not process correctly or get corrupted because it is a lot longer than 3 hours. Basically, I didn't touch New Oblong Hills, but I did add an extension right here, an on ramp, off ramp to try and alleviate this thoroughfare right here. Basically, a lot of service trucks and delivery trucks were getting bottled up here, along with the civilian traffic. So I try to break that up. This on ramp, off ramp is restricted uh, to only civilian traffic. So there's no delivery trucks allowed because this is not a typical cloverleaf. This is just a simple, a very, very, very simple bare bones interchange that allows people that live in these houses over here, instead of having to go all the way out here to use this off ramp just to enter and exit the city, especially for people that just want to go to New Oblong Hills, they can just take this route and go straight in. This roundabout is still fairly bad. Um, I added Squiggly Hills actually towards the end of the stream. Basically, I lamented the fact that New Oblong Hills doesn't really look like Oblong Hills. It does, but only in general shape. Like there's triangular shapes and there's a lot of roundabouts, also shitty intersections. But case in point, Oblong Hills originally got its namesake not necessarily because of the large amounts of triangular shapes of streets or the traffic jams, but the fact that the residential streets were of irregular variety and design and also oblongish. Therefore, this is not extended to here. There's not really an oblong road unless you count the pathways, so this only irregular thing on here is the fact that it's called New Oblong without being actually really being in this true spirit of oblong. So to make up for that, I rolled out this new place called Squiggly Hills because it's like squiggly lines, and I'm utilizing the new pedestrian pathways right here that are listed right here. They're one cell wide compared to the 2 cell wide ones. So yeah, there's that. I don't know how well these will work out. Cars travel painfully slow on it, and there's these bollards, so they kind of definitely slow down traffic, especially upon entry, which is worse for I considered, which was worse than houses right back here because the fire department has to travel really slow just to get to that point. I don't think they even have exceeded speed limit for them. Got this apartment complex with a park in the middle. Decided just to go for straight lines for most of the commercial and the office district because residential looks really nice with such curves, them lovely lady curves, but commercial is just pretty businesslike and straightforward. I filled out Sweaterville, and not only did I filled out Sweaterville and got all the zones out, I also added a tram system on here. Also, my zoom in mod, first person mod, is broken, so I can't go all the way in. More on that a little bit. Basically, I added this tram station. The tram line goes all the way around as a route to fulfill the commercial district and the outer ring, which is the residential. Also, I turned this into an office area and added a heating plant here and a snow packing area. So basically, I rounded this out. Sorterville is a little bit more self-sufficient as it was before, and it also has its own transit. Well, not necessarily buses, but it does have trams. It does not have buses at all, now that I think about it. Oh yeah, this is a remnant of a glitch of random pedestrian path striations that existed on this side of town, where it was only about maybe 11 or so. Then I didn't touch Belmont Hills much. I contemplated adding the terminals to Sweaterville or Squiggly, but this right here is already a clusterfuck as it is. I ironed out a couple of the traffic issues here. Some things that have to do with bus routes were definitely screwed up, like these bus routes were still trying to get onto these primary on-ramps, but that's not the case. And then I moved on to Anchor District, filled out Anchor District a little more. Essentially filled out the higher density areas here, because I did have this set up in part 49 before everything was started. Added another snowplow depot here, add another water pump here, or not water pump, but a sewage treatment plant. And on top of that, I decided, hey, look, since I added trams in Sweaterville, I could definitely just add the tram lines here. Basically, we have a tram line that runs down this entire rotation. Where is it? Right. So I don't even need to select the line. The purple here is the tram line. I had to do some tricky stuff with the tram line because I didn't want it to crash straight into this roundabout, and the only other place I could dig a tunnel under, because this terminal was in the way, was to dig it on this direction and have a long-range subterranean tunnel just for this tram line. Hopefully, it does not intrude on this intersection too much and cause more traffic jams than it's worth. But essentially, I have trams now that go around the entirety of Anchor District, because I plan on having Anchor District end right there. That's why there's an avenue, because there's going to be a freeway system that cuts to about here. I don't know if it's going to cut across here and link up with this on this side on the eastern side of the map, but that's going to be how it is. So it's slowly closing in. The Anchor District will be definitely filled out by the time once I start the series up again after the break. And let's see, I've tweaked out a couple things here. I've changed up the overpass right here. It's having an overpass that comes out to the right here and links up to there. People that were coming from northbound or southbound onto this freeway using this off-ramp right here was turning straight to the right. It was getting in the way of people trying to get on this on-ramps from westbound traffic to get onto that off-ramp to head onto this side. So instead, I decided to rearrange everything. So now that there is a flying overpass that bypasses it completely, so they don't cross each other when they're trying to exit. So therefore, these guys can go straight to here, and these guys can go straight to here. I could have just bridged the gap right here, but then that would just be the same problem pushed back. They would be crossing each other just to get to Anchor. So Anchor District now has a more direct route. This is a little bit cleaner and a lot easier to deal with. Then there was another issue with traffic right here. These 6 lanes converging into one junction was causing a large problem, especially with the fact that I make traffic lights virtually extinct. So I had to add a roundabout. Mostly it was a 3-lane roundabout at some point, but it turned into a 4-lane roundabout because that was being a traffic jam. And so now, as I chalk everything out, spread everything out, double check the lines. I had to rename some of the tram lines because I had no names for the tram lines. Traffic, for the most part, looked good. I ironed out a couple of turning lanes. And yeah, that, if you cut all that, that is all I did in the 3-hour stream. And I don't even know if it'll go up because YouTube was being a little tricky. I might go back to Twitch if YouTube does not end up putting my video up like it's supposed to, or my stream up. And it would be a pain in the ass to lose all 3 hours. But just for the sake of parity and completion's sake, I did this quick rundown of what I did on part 50. Yeah, part 50. So now we'll be, I'll wrap this up. This is basically the end of this section, not the series, but the end of, like, I don't know, seasons. Whatever you want to call the way I go about recording sets of sessions, because I usually record one 3-hour session, cut it into 30-minute parts, and then do that 24 times. Then on the 25th time, I do a 3-hour stream, which is an entire session. So instead of 6 parts, you get 1 part, and then I take a break for maybe a month or 2. It depends on how much I'm willing to stay away from this game. I mean, that's generally enough time for an update to come out. Sometimes not. I mean, that's what happened with After Dark and Snowfall. I mean, this part This recent play session had snowfall added, and I also turned off night cycle because I just wanted to see the snow in the daytime. I might switch it back to desert once I get back into it, returning on part 51. I have not completely decided on that yet, but I will reactivate definitely the day and night cycle. If I deactivate the snow, which is you can change the biome in through a mod, which as far as I can tell still works as of the recent update. So I can switch back. And downside is I'm going to keep the heating plants, but I'm going to lose all of the snow plow bases, or the snow dumps. There you go. And so there'll just be these blank spaces. I'll have to be mindful to not fill them in with permanent buildings that I can't replace, or just fill them in with trees. So next time I actually do decide to follow something along the likes of going by the seasons, I can just replace them with snow dumps when they're snowing, and when it's not snowing, just replace them with trees, as if, all the snow melted away and they took down the fences and they were just a temporary thing, not meant to be really a permanent. So that's that. In final closing notes, even though this is going away, what's going in its time slot is hopefully Rel, or John, has been bothering me. Well, not really bothering me. He suggested that we start back up another SimCity 2013 series, which SimCity 2013 was actually quite fun and has quite the amount of traffic, even to this day, despite being a video that was posted back in 2014, or a series that started in the last third of 2014. A lot of arguing was going on. I had to keep siphoning money to him, and he never used Omega Co. Now using the information that he now knows, and things that I already know, especially combined with a new mic that does not make me sound like a goddamn terrible 20s YouTuber. Wait, 20s? I mean 2000s, early 2000s, because YouTube was a thing like in 2007. Anyway, I'm digressing into a terribly verbose, unnecessarily long, random tangent. Case in point, I'll have a new mic. We'll have new topics to discuss at random. I mean, we did weird shit, talk about Ferguson, economics, that kind of stuff, especially what was prevalent to the year 2014, especially towards the end of 2014. But we're going to do something like that new again now in 2016, hopefully. And the cool thing is we'll probably have different point of views and stuff like that. We're going to see how we can shake that. Just transferring of video data and that kind of stuff, recording, is going to be a little bit interesting, but that's what we're going to embark upon. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. Hopefully that will become a thing. It will probably replace this video in its time slot, and once that series is over, I'll probably return back to a real and an actually better city planning, city builder kind of game. It's just with Maxis, with SimCity 2013, we got to figure out right now whether or not, despite Maxis being dissolved and defunct now, if their online servers can still allow me and John to connect to each other and still be able to play and record in the first place. So regardless of whether or not that's a thing, we will have a video up or a series up in this place of this series, and once that's done, we'll return back to it. We'll have probably 30 parts like what we did the last SimCity 2013 series. So yeah, that's gonna happen. So enough of my rapid fire talking. Until next time, until next game, CrazyRonn out. I really fucking hope that live stream works.